How you doing, y'all? This is MCM, and you're listening to You're Probably Right. We are on episode 361. They like you, but are they safe to love? That is the title of today's episode. Just remember that these episodes are all for entertainment purposes only. Usually, I open the show a little bit different. Usually, you hear a little voice telling you this, that, and the other, but I figured I would just start it off by myself. So let's get started. You know, what I think gets a lot of people in trouble, it's not always that nobody likes them, nobody's attracted to them. Maybe they're impatient, maybe they're just picking up whatever. It's possible. But anyway, sometimes the problem is somebody does like them. And because they like them back, right? Everything starts moving too fast in their head. Now, it's okay, but how do I help this along? You know, because they're cool with the situation, how it starts. So they got to kind of push it along because they want to make sure everything works out. So they kind of nurse the situation. You know, they're like, how do I not mess this up? How do I keep this person interested? And before you know it, you're no longer trying to figure out whether this person is actually good for you. You're trying to figure out, how do I make sure that I'm good for them and that they feel it and that they don't get away? You see, that's a total different mindset. You know, before I go farther, I got to say, I spent about, I would say, 8 hours at least. And 8 hours in that just for this episode alone, technically, but not really, actually a lot more. I also answered about 104 questions, just going through the motions, trying to figure out exactly the psyche of someone who seems to keep picking the wrong individuals. And what I came to understand is a lot of the time we're picking people we're not really vetting, some of us. You see, I think especially guys, if you're average looking, you'll get suitors. You'll have suitors. You'll have people through proximity. You'll have people probably if you go online dating or whatever it is. But there's many of us who don't like that idea, and we only want to meet people at, say, church or at school or at work or in the neighborhood or at our chess club, or you know what I mean? Like just in life. It seems more authentic and more natural. And there's just something about seeing someone in the regular element, and maybe the situation doesn't start off that way. It just starts off as this person is a part of something that you're a part of, and maybe you had the opportunity to connect a little closer, or something that they did or something that they said or a way that they were that wanted you, or they wanted, or something in them wanted to get to know you a little bit better than they already have. And a lot of the times things progress that way. A lot of people want to get that type of a situation in their life rather than having to connect through online, find out that the person lives in your city, or maybe they don't live in your city, and then you try to artificially bring something together. Because if life were natural and there were no cell phones and no internet, your paths probably just wouldn't cross. But such is the world now, and it's a lot smaller. So let me get back to my little thing here. Okay, so as I said, because before you know somebody likes you, right? You're still watching them. You're checking them out. You're trying to figure out what kind of a person they are. But the problem is, or the situation happens in many of our cases, is that Once you believe they like you, all of a sudden you stop interviewing them and you become the applicant. Now you're trying to get hired, for lack of a better term. And here's the problem with that. You see, somebody liking you doesn't mean they're emotionally healthy for you. But of course, you might want to try it out because maybe you're on as I've said before, a dry spell, or maybe you've never had a boyfriend, or maybe your last few boyfriends were horrible and you never thought to vet somebody instead of just getting close to somebody just because they liked you or they like you. You see, just because they like you, maybe you like them, it doesn't mean they're loyal. It doesn't mean they know how to communicate. It doesn't mean they can handle disappointment. It doesn't mean they can take accountability. It doesn't mean they're capable of staying connected once the excitement slowly wears off or quickly wears off. It just means they simply like you. That's it. And liking somebody is easy when everything feels good. Excuse me while I sip my tea. It's easy to like the funny version of somebody. It's easy to like the attractive version. Maybe they have beautiful blue eyes or brown eyes or green eyes. It's easy to be attracted to something that literally is attractive to you. It's easy to like a confident person. It's easy to like a timid person for some people. It's easy to like the person who listens to all of your problems, helps you out, makes you laugh, buys you things, makes you feel wanted, and never really asks too much from you. But what happens when that person isn't performing any longer? That's what you need to know. Because attraction tells you who catches someone's attention. It doesn't tell you what they're going to do once they actually get close enough to see that you're an actual human being. And that's really what this whole episode is about. Not whether somebody likes you. What happens after they like you? What happens when you make mistakes? What happens when you disappoint them? What happens when you can't help them? What happens when you need them? What happens when you're not saying the perfect thing? What happens when you're not looking your best? What happens when you tell them no? What happens when you bring up something they did that hurt you? Did they still come towards you, or do they immediately start backing away? Very important. Because there's a difference between somebody enjoying you, somebody being attracted to you, and somebody being safe enough to actually love regularly. And a lot of us don't know the difference until we're already attached. You see, let's start with something simple. A lot of people meet somebody in a place they go to all the time, like I was talking about earlier. I'm not even going to name the place because it could be anywhere. It could be somewhere you work. It could be somewhere you volunteer. It could be a class that you attend. It could be a gym. It could be some club or group. It's just somewhere you keep seeing the same people over and over again. And after a while, right, people get to know each other. They see how you talk, see how you joke, they see how you handle people, They see whether you're dependable. They see whether you're funny. They see whether you're calm under pressure. They see whether you're somebody who can handle things. So naturally, people start liking each other. That doesn't automatically mean romantically, right? Somebody can genuinely enjoy being around you. They can look for you when they come into the room. They can hang out around you. They can laugh at everything you say. They can ask whether you're going to be at something or do something. They can take pictures with you. They can share personal things with you. They can touch your arm. They can stand a little closer than they stand with everybody else. All of that can mean something. But it can also mean they're comfortable with you. Just that simple. And I know a lot of people get confused with all that stuff because, a lot of people have been watching Game and they've been watching attachment. They've been listening to attachment theory. They've been listening to body language and all these different things that are supposed to help you know if somebody's into you, right? Trying to save yourself the embarrassment of trying to talk to the wrong people or allowing the wrong people to talk to you. So we try to handicap the game. But it can also mean, as I said before, they're just simply comfortable. It can mean they like your attention. It can mean you make the environment better for them. You're the kind of person, if you haven't been in whatever it is for the past 2 weeks, they ask somebody to call you to see if you're okay because they miss your presence, simply. And that's it. It can mean they trust you. It can mean they enjoy the little bit of excitement that comes from flirting with you or having, less without having to do with anything else besides sometimes people just like to do that. That's what they do. That's their thing. So how do you know whether it's more than that? That's been the $1 million question for years for many people. You see, at some point, somebody has to try to make a move, try to move it out of the same simple environment that you see each other every day in or every time in. And that's where it starts becoming clearer, for sure. Do they want to spend time with you away from everybody else? Do they help make that happen? Not just, yeah, we should do something sometime. Anybody can say that. Anybody can give a number and never call. I mean, people say that to people they never plan to see again. Don't know why, but they do. I'm talking about something concrete. A day, a time, a place. And if they can't make that day, do they give you another one? Because interest that never becomes specific is just atmosphere. It might feel good. It might look like something, or other people might even notice, but it still might not actually be going anywhere. And that's where people get caught a lot of the time. They build an entire relationship out of what happens in, some shared environment. But the other person never really chooses them outside of it. That's a telltale sign that that's not the person for you. They enjoy them there. They enjoy they enjoy talking to them there. They enjoy flirting there. They enjoy noticing or being noticed there. But when it comes time to actually spending time alone, to go on a real date, to make a clear decision, everything kind of gets vague. So for a man, a woman smiling, laughing, and always finding her way near you might mean she likes you. It might even mean she's attracted to you. But you still don't know until she helps move things forward. And for a woman, A man texting you, joking with you, sharing personal things, and acting like he's into you might mean he is, but does he actually ask you out? Does he make plans? Does he follow through? Or are you just his favorite person to talk to when he's bored? That's the difference. This is where a lot of people lose their minds. Before we know it, before, well, nah, before we know somebody likes us, right? We're paying attention. We're looking at everything. Do I like this person? Are they stable? Are they kind? Do they have their life together? Do they seem honest? Then we find out they like us. And now the whole thing flips. Now it's not, are they right for me? Now it's, how do I keep this going? Maybe I shouldn't text too much. Maybe I should wait a day, all that stuff. Maybe I should text more. Maybe I should be more confident. Maybe I should be more understanding. Maybe I shouldn't tell them that bothered me. Maybe I should give them more time. Maybe I should prove I'm not like that, like the last person that hurt them. So I should do a little extra, show some other things. Maybe I should help them with this. Maybe I should show them I can be dependable. You see, and this is how somebody else's behavior starts turning into a set of instructions for you. Maybe the person tells you a lot about their life and you start trying to cater, you start trying to alter your behavior to hit the right spots. You see, they pull away, so you give more space. They come back, so you get excited. They mention a problem, so you try to solve it. They act insecure, so you start reassuring them. They compare you to somebody else, so now you're trying to outperform that person. They say that they're not ready, so now you're trying to show them your worth getting ready for. Do you see what happened? You're no longer actually evaluating. You're just adjusting. You're adapting. You're trying to make everything in your life feng shui for them, if that makes any sense. And once you start doing that, right, warning signs stop being warning signs. They become assignments. Somebody is inconsistent, and instead of saying this person is inconsistent, you say, maybe I'm asking too much. Maybe they're in a rough patch in their life. Somebody refuses to communicate, and instead of saying this person doesn't know how to communicate, you spend hours trying to find a better way to explain yourself. Somebody has all kinds of unresolved issues with an ex, and instead of saying, I don't need to be involved in this, you start thinking, let me show them that I'm better. Somebody has financial problems, and instead of saying, I need to be careful, you start seeing an opportunity to prove that you're a good provider, so maybe you hook them up a little bit with money. This is how people get dragged into situations that they would tell anybody else to back out of. They can see it clearly when it's somebody else's mess, but when they like the person, everything gets an explanation. This is the part that I really want people to understand now. You can feel extremely wanted by somebody and still not feel emotionally safe with them. Those two things can happen at the very same time. You can have constant communication, You can have strong, intimate chemistry. They can tell you things they say they never told anybody else, or you can ask them and they can tell you. They can say you're different. They can act like you understand them better than anybody. They can want to be around you all of the time. And yet, deep down, you already know you can't bring them a real problem. Have you ever been in that situation? I have. You know, you have to manage how you say things. You know you can't fully be yourself. It's already a sign there. You know one disagreement could change their whole attitude. You know you're afraid to show your weakness, your flaws. You know you care more than they do. You know you can't really depend on them. You know if something goes wrong, instead of the two of you working it out, you're probably going to have to end up defending yourself. That's not safety. That's excitement and that's anxiety attached to it. And sometimes people mistake that anxiety for deep love. They think, I can't stop thinking about this person, so this must be something special. Maybe. But maybe you can't stop thinking because nothing is settled. If somebody is warm every day, you know where you stand. If somebody is cold every day, eventually you know where you stand. But if somebody is warm on Monday, distant on Tuesday, affectionate on Wednesday, irritated on Thursday, and act like you're the greatest person in the world again on Friday, your mind stays busy. Now you're trying to figure out which one is real. And you might pick one because you're hoping it goes in one way or the other. Did I do something? Are they coming back? Why did they say that? Why did they act like that? Why won't they call me back? What did that message mean? Why won't they talk on the phone? Why do they only text me? Why did they act warm in front of everybody but cold when we're by ourselves? Why did they disappear, then come back and act normal? And the more confusing it is, right? The more you think about it. It's ambiguous. It's wonderment. It's like, what is going on? But they have such beautiful brown eyes. That doesn't automatically mean the connection is deeper. It might just mean your nervous system is trying to solve something that never gets resolved. People confuse these two all the time. Intensity is talking until 3 o'clock in the morning. Intimacy is being able to say something uncomfortable at 3 o'clock in the afternoon and not have the whole relationship fall apart. Intensity is somebody telling you everything about their childhood. Intimacy is what they do when you tell them something vulnerable about yourself. Intensity is saying, I've never felt this way before. Intimacy is being able to misunderstand each other and then come back and repair it. Anybody can unload information. Maybe they're even waiting to do that. That doesn't mean they know how to care for yours. Somebody can tell you every traumatic thing that ever happened to them and still have no patience when you explain some of the stuff that's affecting you. Somebody can want you intimately and still have no understanding of your emotions and maybe no care. Somebody can act completely open and still become cold the minute you need something from them. That's why you have to stop measuring intimacy by how much somebody tells you. You have to measure it by what happens when you tell them something they don't immediately understand. Do they get curious? Do they ask questions? Do they change the subject? Do they allow your explanation to change how they see what happened? Or do they decide what you meant and treat their version like the final answer? Do they know it all? Because disagreement isn't the real danger. The real danger is somebody who doesn't care what your internal reality is. They've already decided. You're wrong. You're selfish. You're insecure. You're too much. You're not enough. And nothing you say is allowed into the room. That's not a safe person. This is one of the best ways to tell what somebody's really like or what they really like about you. Because most of us are easy to enjoy while we're doing well, right? The man is confident, he's funny, he's helping, he's paying, he knows what to say, he's intimately performing. The woman is attractive, she's affectionate, she's agreeable, she's supportive, she makes him feel wanted. Everybody is showing the version of themselves that gets the best response. But that version can't stay staged forever. Eventually, somebody's gonna get tired. Somebody's gonna get nervous. Somebody's gonna pass wind. Somebody's gonna forget something. Somebody's gonna gain weight. Somebody's gonna lose money. Somebody's gonna have health problems. Somebody's gonna make a mistake. Somebody's gonna become insecure. Somebody needs support. And now you get to find out whether they like the person or if they're just performing. Do they like the man or do they like what he provides? Do they like the woman or do they like what she does for them? What happens when the funny person isn't funny today? What happens when the strong person is scared? What happens when the provider can't provide that much? What happens when the attractive person changes physically? What happens when the sexually confident person has anxious moments? Do they remain connected? Or do you see a look? You know the look. The little look that says something has changed. That disappointment, the irritation, the ick, as some people say, as people like to call it now anyway. And sometimes it only takes one ordinary human moment for somebody to start seeing you in a different way. I remember one time somebody just, I got a belly going here, a little belly action. And I think I was sitting in a certain way and they're like, man, your stomach's kind of big. Here's it. They didn't say your stomach's kind of big. They said, you're really wide. And I was like, huh? I didn't know what they were talking about. But anyway, yeah. At first I didn't know really how to take it, but then I was like, okay, well. Anyways, that's why the mistakes, they matter. The mistake tests matter. I'm not talking about cheating. I'm not talking about abuse. I'm not talking about doing something horrible. I mean, just regular mistakes. You forgot something, you forgot your way, you ended up late because something happened, you misunderstood something, you say the wrong word, you become nervous, you don't handle something as smoothly as you would normally handle it. Does the person stay emotionally connected while dealing with it? Do they shrug it off? Or do they start withdrawing affection, making comparisons, humiliating you, and acting like you're the whole your whole value just kind of went down to nothing? A healthy person can be disappointed without becoming cruel. They can be frustrated without trying to make you feel small. They can correct something without acting like they regret ever choosing you. Not everybody can do that. A relationship has to be able to survive evidence that you're an actual human being and you make mistakes. Another question: what happens when you turn to them? Does talking to them actually help anything? Not do they solve everything, not that. Not do they always agree with you. Just after you talk to them, do you feel more understood? Do you feel like the two of you are on the same side? Can they listen without immediately becoming defensive? Can they ask you what happened before deciding what you did and how wrong you were? Can they protect what you told them? Can they say, I don't fully understand, but I'm trying to? That matters, because some people don't want to understand. They only want an explanation that makes them feel comfortable. And if your explanation requires them to look at their own behavior, now they don't want to hear it. A man might explain that stress is affecting him intimately, and the woman hears it. He doesn't find me attractive. That's what she hears. A woman might explain that she's emotionally exhausted, and the man hears, she doesn't appreciate me. Now, both people are reacting to what they think the explanation means instead of actually listening to what the person's actually saying. A safe partner doesn't have to accept every excuse, but they allow your explanation to actually matter. They don't decide who you are before you finish the sentence. Anybody can look good at the beginning. You're supposed to. The beginning has energy. Everybody's paying attention. Everybody wants to impress. There's novelty. There's uncertainty. There's intimate excitement. There's that feeling of, where is this going? But the beginning doesn't tell you what the relationship can hold. Time does. What happens after they know they have your attention? Do they still initiate? Do they still ask questions? Do they still remember what matters to you? Do they remember your birthday? Do they say happy birthday? Do they still make time for you? Do they still show affection? Do they still care about your day? Do they still want to know what's happening in your mind? Or do they start acting like the work is finished and they've arrived? Now you're there. Now you're attached. Now you're helping. Now you're doing what they need so they don't have to keep putting in the same effort. This is where people call something a bait and switch. And sometimes it is. Sometimes a person knows exactly what they're doing. Sometimes they're putting on the best possible version of themselves to secure the relationship. But sometimes the beginning was real. They really were excited. They really did want you. They really did feel all of that. The problem is they couldn't sustain it. So the real question isn't, did the relationship change? Everybody's relationship changes. Nobody's going to tell Nobody's going to text all night forever. Nobody's going to live in permanent infatuation. The question is, what did the excitement turn into? Did it turn into dependability? Did it turn into affection? Did it turn into trust? Did it turn into better communication? Did it turn into a stable, intimate relationship? Did it turn into two people who know each other and still want to keep choosing each other? Or did it turn into confusion? Did it turn into one person doing all the work? Did it turn into mixed signals? Did it turn into withdrawal? Did it turn into, yeah, I was with my family for the last 5 hours. That's why you couldn't get me, even though I carry my phone all the time? Did it turn into somebody receiving all the benefits while pretending they never promised anything? That's the difference. The beginning shows what somebody can feel. Time shows what they can actually maintain. This is another thing people don't want to admit. Somebody may not have consciously planned to withdraw, right? And they pull back. But eventually they know they're giving you less. They know the communication has changed. They know the affection has changed. They know the intimate relationship has changed. They know they're not putting in the same effort. They know. Maybe they don't know right away, but after a little time, they know. And if you're talking, and if you've talked about it, they definitely know. So now the question becomes, what do they do with that actual knowledge? Do they talk honestly? Do they tell you what changed? Do they try to work with you? Do they acknowledge that the relationship has become one-sided? Or do they keep accepting everything you give them? A man might know he has no intention of committing, but he keeps accepting emotional, intimate stuff, emotional support, loyalty, and attention. A woman might know she's no longer sees a man as a partner, but she keeps accepting money, gifts, favor, and protection. Maybe neither one planned it from the beginning, but once they understand what the other person wants, they continue taking the relationship benefits without offering the relationship. Now they're making a choice. You understand? Some people know what they're doing. And as I was saying, they don't always plan it exactly that way. But after a while, they'll know exactly what's going on. They'll know exactly what they're doing. They might not have built a trap, but they can still know you're in it and keep benefiting from it. Some people will find you tripping up over them and they'll just allow you to keep tripping. People always look for the big betrayals. They look for the cheating, the huge lie, the giant blow up. But a lot of relationships tell you what they are by the small things. Do they remember what matters to you? Do they make an effort after they disappoint you? Do they say sorry? Do they repair? Do they keep private things private? Do they consider what something has cost you? Do they notice that you're always the one initiating? Do they notice that you're always the one giving? Do they care? Because sometimes the smallest thing tells you exactly where you stand with a person. Not because forgetting one date or one detail means somebody is totally malevolent or evil. People forget things. But when they find out they hurt you, what do? Do they try to make it up, make it right? Or do they act like your reaction is the problem and change the subject altogether? You see, that's where the power structure shows itself. You can handle a person making mistakes. The problem is when your pain becomes an inconvenience to someone. You say, "This hurt me." And instead of hearing that, they say, "Why are you making such a big deal of this?" Now they're not dealing with what happened. They're trying to train you not to bring it up again. See, everybody knows these words, right? Anxious, avoidant, dismissive, fearful, secure. And people start acting like the labels explain everything. It doesn't. A person can have avoidant tendencies and still work on themselves. They can say, "I know I pull away when things get intense, but I don't want to punish you. I need a little time and I'll come back so we can talk." That's different. A person can have anxious tendencies and still be loyal, thoughtful, and capable of listening. They might need reassurance, but they're not destroying the relationship. And somebody can call themselves secure while being selfish, dishonest, and completely unresponsive. So don't get too hung up on all these labels. Watch the behavior, the patterns, the math of everything. The dangerous person is the one who keeps making their discomfort your responsibility. They pull away and you have to chase. They get scared and you have to prove yourself. They become inconsistent and you have to stay calm. They have unresolved X's and you have to pretend it doesn't actually bother you. They don't know what they want and you're expected to wait while still giving everything. It's not about labels anymore. That's about what kind of a relationship are they offering you. There's a particular combination that causes a lot of damage. This can be a man or a woman. They come on strong at the beginning. There's intimate energy. There's personal disclosure. They make you feel chosen. They have unresolved problems, maybe still an ex hanging around or trying to hang around. Maybe they're emotionally tied to somebody else. Maybe they need money. Maybe they need rescuing. Maybe they need constant attention. Then once you become invested, their availability all of a sudden it changes. They're busy. So much going on in their life. Now they're inconsistent. Now you're trying to figure out where you stand with them, but they don't disappear completely. That would be too easy for you to understand. So they give enough. A warm message, a compliment, some affection, some intimate moment, a little bit of hope, just enough to make you think the beginning might still come back. That person can be extremely dangerous for somebody who responds in insecurity by becoming useful. Because now you're starting to do more. You listen more, you give more, you solve more, you spend more, you try harder intimately, you try to become too valuable to leave. But becoming indispensable is not the same as being loved. Somebody can somebody can keep you around because you're useful. They can miss what you can still do and not really actually miss you. And that's a hard thing to admit. You see, generosity isn't bad. Helping somebody isn't bad. Buying a gift isn't bad. Supporting somebody isn't bad, but you have to know why you're actually doing it. Would you still give them this if they knew for a fact that this person would never become your partner, would you just give it to them anyway? The question will tell you a lot. Me say it again, 'cause I didn't say it right in the first place. Would you still give this, whatever it is, if you knew for a fact that this person would never become your partner? That question will tell you a lot. Would you still loan them money? Would you still buy them expensive gifts? Would you still spend all that time helping them? Would you still keep listening for hours? Would you still do all the emotional work yourself? If the answer is no, then you're not only being nice, you're investing. Some kind of transaction going on. You're hoping that what you give will produce a relationship. And if the other person never agreed to the arrangement, now you're gambling. And the more you give, the harder it is to actually walk away. Because now you don't only have feelings invested, you've probably invested money, time, labor, your pride, your hopes. And now admitting there's nothing there feels like admitting all of that was for nothing. So you keep giving a little longer. You think maybe the next thing will change it. Maybe this gift, maybe this conversation, maybe this weekend, maybe once their life calms down, maybe once their ex is actually gone for good, maybe once they understand how much you really care, maybe the relationship has already answered you. You just don't like the answer. Three things that should be present together. So, how do you know whether somebody's interest is worth taking seriously? Not whether they're guaranteed to be your spouse. Nobody can know that immediately. I know some people say they knew right along, but in general, guys, nobody can know that immediately. But whether there's enough to keep you exploring, I think three things have to start showing up together. First, direct selection. At some point, they make it clear that they're choosing you romantically, not just flirting, not just being nice, not just hanging around. They agree to a real date. They help to make it happen. They don't leave you decoding everything. Second, voluntary investment. They initiate sometimes. They remember things sometimes. They follow up. They make time. They occasionally inconvenience themselves or maybe even others. They do things because they care, not only because they need something. You're not dragging the whole relationship behind you. Third, responsiveness. What happens when you show up imperfectly? What happens when you need support? What happens when you set a boundary? What happens when you make a mistake? What happens when you're not entertaining, helping, or providing? Do they still stay connected? Do they try to understand? Do they remain respectful? Disrespect is huge. That's what starts telling you they might actually like this person. That's what starts telling you that it might be a good idea to like this person when they care about all these things. Selection tells you they want you. Investment tells you they value the opportunity. Responsiveness tells you they may be capable of actually loving you. And you need all three. You have to also stay the evaluator. Come on, remember, you are evaluating somebody to join your life. Don't become the trainee, the applicant from your point of view. The hardest thing for people sometimes to do is to continue evaluating after they've chosen someone, or after they've been chosen in a sense, because being chosen feels so good, right? Especially if you've felt overlooked, especially if you've been lonely, especially if it's been a long time. You might just take what you can get. Not a good idea. Especially if the person is attractive, especially if you believe you don't have a lot of opportunity. That's when one person can become too important too quickly. And once that happens, right, you stop asking the hard questions. Can I depend on this person? You need to ask that. Can I tell them something uncomfortable? Do they make problems clearer or more confusing? Do they care when I'm not doing anything for them? Can they apologize? Can they repair? Do they protect my privacy? Do I feel like I care a lot more than they do? Am I already afraid that one wrong move will make them disappear? Do I feel safe showing them the parts of me that aren't impressive? You know, maybe you got huge pores and you hide them with makeup somehow, or maybe you got bad teeth, so you always keep your mouth closed until you open it wide. Maybe your hairline isn't the greatest. Maybe you've gained some weight and you've been sucking it in with a girdle or something, waist trainer. Do I feel safe showing them the parts of me that aren't so impressive, as I said? And here's a big one. Am I attracted to who this person actually is? Can you look at them, not only ocularly, but can you actually look at them and even see things that aren't right in them and still love them? Or am I attached to the possibility that one day they're going to become the person I need? People date the first month for years. They keep remembering how it was. They keep trying to get it back. But the beginning isn't the relationship anymore. The person in front of you now is the relationship. So don't keep dating the memory while ignoring the pattern of what's in front of you. Let me close this. A lot of people spend their whole lives asking whether they're good enough to be chosen. Am I attractive enough? Am I successful enough? Am I masculine enough? Am I feminine enough? Am I young enough? Am I thin enough? Am I interesting enough? Am I sexual enough? Am I stable enough? Then somebody chooses them. Or at least it looks like they do. And because they spend so much time wondering whether anybody would want them, they forget to ask what this person actually wants from them or wants with them. Maybe they want companionship. Maybe they want attention. Maybe they just want sex. Maybe they want financial help. Maybe they want somebody to fix their life. Maybe they like to be admired. Maybe they do it for kicks. Maybe they genuinely care. Maybe they think they care. Maybe they think they care, but they don't have the ability to actually sustain that care. That's why being chosen can't be the finish line. Somebody choosing you doesn't mean you stop choosing carefully. You still have to watch. You still have to listen. You still have to notice what happens after the excitement wears off. You still have to see what happens when you make a mistake, a big mistake. You still have to figure out whether they like you or what they like and get from you, or what they get from you or what you do for them. And you have to stop believing that every unsafe relationship can be turned around into a safe one by giving more of yourself. Sometimes the anxiety doesn't mean you've found the love of your life. Sometimes the anxiety means you've become attached to somebody you already know you can't depend on. You see, the goal isn't to find somebody who never disappoints you. To find that perfect person. That person doesn't exist. The goal is to find somebody who can disappoint you without making you feel like the whole relationship is gone. Somebody who can be frustrated without becoming cruel. Somebody who can hear your weakness without using it to lower your value. Somebody who doesn't disappear the minute you stop performing. Somebody who helps move the relationship forward instead of standing there while you pull the whole thing by yourself. Because attraction tells you who catches your attention. Chemistry tells you who excites you. But consistency, responsiveness, and repair tell you who might actually be safe enough to love. So, yeah, they may like you. They might genuinely like you. But before you spend your money, your body, your loyalty, your time, the next 5 years trying to prove that you deserve them, you need to ask yourself something else. What happens when they meet the version of me that isn't performing? If they still move forward and toward you, then maybe there's something there. If they only stay while you're useful, impressive, easy to control, and constantly giving, then they never really chose you in the first place. Or at least they never really chose all of you. And maybe that's the difference between being wanted and being loved. And then you're probably right. Okay, guys, until next time, this is MCM signing off. Peace out. Ugh. Jeez. Hey, come check out You Probably Right podcast. Society is getting more unpredictable every day, but at the same time, predictable in its unpredictability. Say that 4 times real fast. Come with me as I attempt to find clarity in all the fog while staying way outside the box and kicking the box way down the road with my size 12 docs. I use the Bible, experience, education, fortune, misfortune, life's lessons, life's mistakes to sort through all the mess. I talk about news, God, God, self-help, sports, sickness, health, music, parenting, love, humbleness, hurt, pain, joy, and all the things that might make you say, I never thought of it that way. Hopefully, anyway. Also, I take a stab at answering tough and not so tough questions, and all the while understand that, listen, sometimes you end up in the hot seat and there's no thermostat. Well, that's how it is here. And because there's no topic, very few topics off the table, Torontonians will understand that Doug Ford reference there. Hopefully the podcast will be helpful and uplifting. And hey, maybe you'll find your own private Idaho here somewhere. Hope to see you soon.